After the final bids of the NEL came out, the topic of Barou vs Shidou has become a hot debate. Many people, including some famous on TikTok like Crocodile, have decided to come out and state that Barou is better than Shidou. So today, hopefully we can come to a general conclusion on who is better between these two strikers. And so, if you like these type of videos, please remember to like or subscribe, and let's get into the video. To start off with, we need to analyze the weapons which these two have developed in order to raise themselves to a world-class level. Although I said before that the quantity of weapons simply isn't relevant to the comparison of quality, both of these players have such excessive amounts of quality whenever they play that simply glossing over their weapons would be completely disrespectful. Starting off with Shidou, what makes him different to all of the other strikers is that he's able to score off of impossible angles. His physical capabilities allow him to quickly transition any pass he receives into a goal scoring opportunity through his ability to shoot at a high level with both of his feet, sense the goal without looking, and shoot curve shots even when people are marking him. Using these physical abilities, he is easily able to budge a physical monster like Kunigami off the ball and score a bicycle kick off a mishit pass which was deflected by Rhea. These weapons make him excessively dangerous whenever he receives a pass, as it shows that not only does he not rely generally on the quality of the pass, but rather the fact that he received the pass in general, but also that he's easily able to catch people off guard. We even have statements from Isagi that state that he can score off of impossible stances with unusual capabilities. The reason such a weapon makes him so dangerous is again because of the fact that the goalkeeper can't predict what he's doing, and generally immediately he finds his rhythm, no goalkeeper is able to actually block him. His second weapon is his ambidextrous nature. Most people don't particularly mention this, but Shidou is able to completely score off of both feet with an immense degree of accuracy, only being matched by someone like Nagi or Kunigami. This is incredibly effective as a weapon because it allows him to fake shots like Isagi does and become open, as well as taking shots no matter the angle to ensure a goal to put his team ahead. And finally, this is a topic which has become one hot debate between the Blue Lock community, and this is whether or not he has Predator Eye. I personally believe he has Predator Eye, and I believe this due to a variety of reasons, so let's begin the explanation. Predator Eye is founded off the principle that you should not shoot simply when you want to shoot, but rather shoot when the goalkeeper has a lapse in awareness, or in other words, is not expecting you to shoot. You do so through keeping your focus entirely on the keeper through your senses, and then shoot the ball when they least expect it. This perfectly simulates how Shidou plays for a variety of reasons. Firstly, Shidou describes his weapon in the U20 game as extreme spatial awareness, which allows him to sense the goal and reach it without even needing direct eye contact with it. In other words, it's a type of sensory ability which mirrors Predator Eye, which is a type of vision which is only used in the box for the purpose of dealing with the goalkeeper. Secondly, the way Predator Eye is formed is not through shooting when you want to, but rather when the goalkeeper is not focused. Shidou out of all people would be best suited for this purpose, seeing as all the shots he takes are all from impossible angles, which goalkeepers would not expect him or anyone to be able to shoot from. And he also displays the ability to shoot exactly when the keeper is least expecting it, such as when he doesn't pass back to Isagi in the third selection, but rather immediately goes for a goal. With these two facts combined, it shows that Shidou's extreme spatial awareness is simply a precursor to Predator Eye, and Predator Eye is simply its natural evolution. Personally, I don't buy into arguments showing that the design of your eyes is actually an indicator of what eye you are using, especially in cases of someone like Shidou, where his eyes are naturally slit-shaped, so when he combines it with flow state, of course his eyes are going to resemble Predator Eye. However, I personally think that his playstyle is best suited for it, rather than someone like Yukimiya as an example. Moving on to Barou, throughout the series he's shown an insane variation of shots he's able to do. But by far, the one he's most consistent in using is his curve shot sent to the top right corner. He's able to do this from as far as 29 meters away from the goal, and upon entering this 29-meter range, his shots essentially become impossible to block. His next weapon is his extreme understanding of dribbling. Barou takes advantage of his aggressive and supreme physical playstyle to catch his opponents off guard by displaying levels of skill and ball control that not many people would be able to replicate. We see him use these chop dribbles to set up almost every goal he has, using it to shake off defenders even at the level of U20 Japan. These chop feints are used by Barou can be used in a variety of different situations. For example, he uses his chop dribble to create space for himself while leaving the goal extremely crowded, hiding behind the crowd and shooting at the last moment where the keeper is unable to actually keep their eyes on him. Or, we see him use it during the U20 and second selection games, where Barou uses his chop dribbling to move unpredictably, becoming a variation that even Rin and Isagi can predict. Additionally, Barou takes advantage of his superior physical capability, using it to charge through defenders. His physique is so overwhelming that he can charge through and score a goal even when two of the U20 Japan team are latching onto his shoulders. So, with that said and done, let's go over who's a better striker between the two. Now, although I mentioned that the most important thing for a striker is to score goals, and Barou has obviously scored way more goals than Shidou, and I know many people would like to call me a hypocrite for what I'm about to say, but I don't particularly think that Shidou's lack of goals is something that can be attributed to his personal skill for a few reasons. The first being that PXG, at least in the format that it was for most of the games, is the worst possible environment for Shidou. Due to the fact that he and Rin are picked in PXG, that means that both of them are forced to work under a time constraint with two different systems working for them. Due to these set 15-minute time constraints, Shidou is robbed of the freedom that he typically has on the pitch, and he's forced to take shots as fast as possible, because if he doesn't, he'd be swapped out for a Win, who is actually able to work out better in these situations. Unlike Hisagi, who finds freedom for himself and controls the entire field, so his teammates are able to locate him during this moment of freedom and give him a goal. Shidou rather finds the freedom and forces other people to locate him without his own intervention. As a result of this, and due to the fact that he's a self-focused egoist, he is constantly focusing on himself rather than the environment that he's creating. That means that he needs somebody with a high level of vision, or at least a mediocre level of vision, to just send a pass in his direction for him to be able to score. So essentially, what the point I'm trying to make is that Shidou, being a freedom type egoist, is put in a restricted environment, so obviously he'd work worse. Now, some might ask how I'm able to determine his skill with this in consideration, and we can do so for a few reasons. The first being that immediately Shidou is able to score in the Bastard Munchen game is when he's given freedom. He's able to pull off a strategy with Charles where they score a goal without even looking at each other, through clashing their own winning ideas. Now, this is important because the type of goal that he scores is stated by Lorenzo to be something that surpasses all of the strategies that even he has been able to create, and Shidou is able to do it naturally. Throughout the entire Neo Egos League, there has not been a single player who has been specifically ordered by a master to shut down another player throughout the entire game. In fact, the only time this has happened is when Raichi is ordered by Isagi and not Noah to mark Snuffy, who is on the level of a master, in order to stop Uber's attacks. So what this means is that Shidou is such a threat that he needs to be stopped immediately before he grows further and becomes an unstoppable threat, as stated by Noah. Keep in mind, he's being called unstoppable even by Noah with the option of the star change system and two Metavision users on his team. Such a feat alone is enough for us to determine who is a more dangerous striker, so now all that's left to do is just state the conclusion. To start off with, we need to actually establish who's more of a who's more of a threat to defense between Barou and Shidou. Now, personally, I think it would be Shidou, not only due to his high level of play, which combined with the passer, who is already operating at their top performance, then he would be able to become a offensive threat that most people in the world wouldn't actually be able to keep up with. But also, Shidou is able to consistently create strategies or attacks which surpass the likes of Lorenzo through his reflex times reflex attacks, which he does not only in the U20 game, but he also evolves it further again whenever he's working with Charles. Additionally, Shidou has over Barou in large amounts the ability to evolve. As a striker, your main mission in a game is to score goals, and your ability to develop into a player who can score goals is incredibly vital whenever we're giving you bids and assigning you value. In Barou's case, when put up against a team who Snuffy couldn't suppress simply using his elite planning, Barou is unable to function for almost 20 chapters before finally undergoing an evolution which allowed him to make his goal scoring capability rise to the next level. However, in Shidou's case, all of these evolutions that he has are almost immediate. Take the example of the U20 game. After getting only one of his shots blocked by Rio, he immediately is able to go into flow, surpass everyone, and even makes Ego think about giving up the game in general. These rapid evolutions as a striker set him apart from Barou and show his goal scoring capability is so high that the teams need to be tailored around shutting him down, which is a fact that's completely untrue for Barou. Most of Barou's attacks are shown during the Ubers game can be consistently shut down by players using Metavision, whereas in comparison to shut Shidou down, what you need is not only a Metavision player who's able to keep an eye on his movements, but a physically dominant player like Kunigami, and a player who has a grudge against him like Kunigami as well, where you're able to draw your top performers, while also having someone who has the stamina to keep up marking him for the entire game, something which Kunigami, who even after the wildcard, is unable to do. To conclude with the video, Shidou overall just has, from at least from the information we've seen, has more dangerous weapons and also more feats, which show that he's higher in terms of goal scoring capabilities, with him being able to score 4 goals while playing in the worst possible environment for 3 of them. And personally, I think that if we were to be put Shidou on the Ubers team without he constantly being restricted, Shidou would perform far better than Barou did. Another final point I'd like to know before anyone brings this up in the comments is that while I do acknowledge that Barou is actually in an unfavorable environment to the Ubers due to them giving him too much freedom, even while Isagi and Kaiser offered him restriction, he's still unable to adapt and change. Only to 4 shots of his were blocked, and that is the only time he's able to change. It goes so far that even Isagi thinks his ego was dying. With that being said, if you like this type of videos, please remember to like and subscribe. This has been Shenra, and I'm out.